Happy holidays, everyone. I'm Chris, coming to you from the Berlin branch of the Worcester County Library. Today, I'm so excited to show everyone how to make my favorite Christmas craft, the Santa Claus walnut necklace or ornament. Here he is as a little ornament, and here he is as a necklace. And here you can see that I have tried to show you each step of making the Santa Claus paint-wise. So, without any further ado, let's look at our materials and equipment. In order to complete this craft, you will need a small cup of water, a Dixie cup, just something small to hold some water, because you're going to need to rinse your paint brushes. You're going to need black, red, and white craft paint. You're going to need some sort of ribbon or cord. If you're making a necklace, you're going to need like 3 feet. If you're making an ornament, 4 inches or so will do it. I have here the red ribbon. That's how I've made them previously, but I have made them with gold. You see I've got some silver here. And you can also use twine. I thought that might look really nice for a real homey or country feel. You're also going to need a hot glue gun, of course, with a glue stick, or you can use craft glue. You're going to need at least 1 white pom-pom, but I wanted to show you these. These are kind of sparkly or iridescent, and that I really like. It doesn't have to be, though. You can just get a white one, or blue or red or whatever you would like. You are going to need a whole walnut, and one that doesn't have a lot of defects in it, if you can get that. You're going to need, this is optional, a bottle cap, from any top. This works, that works. I used it as a stand. You don't have to do that, but I found it pretty convenient. You will need either a small sponge paintbrush or some sort of medium-tipped paintbrush and one very fine-tipped paintbrush. And you're going to need a pencil and at least 1 paper plate or something that you can put your paint on, a palette. I've used just a piece of paper before. And you're going to need a paper towel that is folded, because once you rinse your brushes, I like to brush it against here to try to get it to dry quickly. I do have to say that a lot of people like these sponge brushes, and for certain things I do like it, but you cannot overload the brush, and for this craft that's easy to do. So if you're very comfortable using a sponge brush, go ahead, but I am going to use those kinds of paintbrushes. All right, everyone, let's get started. I think you're really going to enjoy this. This is my favorite craft to make. The first thing that you will do is you're going to need to decide what direction do you want the walnut face to be. If you see how it's pointy down here, if you put your face on that way, he's going to have a pointy beard. If I turn it this way, his hat will be pointy and his beard will be more rounded and full. I think I'm going to make his beard rounded and full, so that means you're going to take your pencil and about 1/4 of the way down, somewhere between 1/4 and 1/3 of a way down on the walnut, you're just going to make a line across. Now I'm doing that pretty dark so you can see it. Yours doesn't need to be that dark. All right, so once you have your line there, the next thing you're going to do, as you can see, I have my paint laid out here. You do not need a lot of this. Here's the red, here's the white. You notice I don't have the black here because that's something I will use last. If I put that out now, that paint would dry out. All right, so you can use a stand if you'd like. You don't have to. And again, found it convenient. You, from this line up to the top of the walnut, you are going to paint that red. Just the top. And I made sure to pick a really dark red. And it's not going to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect on this. That is the charm about this. It's wise to try to get your materials right away, because I have gotten caught not being able to get the things that I needed, like pom-poms and the cord, actually. All right. Alrighty. Now all you have to do is let that dry, but you must let this dry completely. If you do not, your paint will smear. And I'm going to rinse my brush because I'm going to be using this again with the white, and that's just how I get it dried off. So we're going to wait a couple of minutes. You need to make sure that's dry. Alrighty, you can see that our little Santa hat, this is going to be his hat, is dry now. I have cleaned my brush by swirling it in some water and then going like that to make sure all the moisture is out and that there's no sign of the red paint on there. Now, of course, you can use a different brush, but I find it easier to just clean it and use the same one. All right, now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to paint the top or the brim. You're going to paint a white line across here. That's going to be the brim of Santa's hat. You're just going to take just right all the way across. Another reason why you must make sure your paint, the red paint, is dry. If it wasn't, this would smear, and then you got a mess on your hands. And again, it's not going to be perfect. Now, if you, aren't satisfied with what it looks like, or if some of the walnut is showing through, like some there, you can always let it dry and paint it again. Put another little coat on there. All right, so you're going to take that, put it in your stand, and you're going to need to let that dry completely. Don't try to shortcut it. I've learned my lesson. Let it dry. Alrighty, here you can see the brim of his hat is dry, and I've even started filling in a little bit of his beard. along the sides. I do not want to cover the entire walnut yet, because at this point, I'm going to clean that, you're going to need to decide what kind of face shape and what size do you want your Santa face. Some people like a round face, oval face. Pick what's easiest for you. I have seen people do kind of like a rectangle face. I might be able to show you one of those. But I try to do kind of a rounded triangle, and you need to make sure that you have enough room for your eyes and nose. If you want to put a mouth inside here, you can, but you can always move it down further. Make sure you have eyes and nose, and you really ought to try to center that as best you can. But remember, it's not going to be perfect. That's part of the charm. All right, so at this point, I am going to, there's my face shape. Make sure my brush is nice and dry and clean. And I'm just going to use light little brush strokes. And of course, you know, that's why I said use a pencil. If you get a shape on there, the shape of the Santa face, and you don't like how it looks, just erase it. I've done that. Remember, you use, you know, a light touch, and don't overload your brush. You can always put more on. You cannot take it off. And I am the queen of mistakes. So, okay, you see how I have not, I've gone around the face, but I have not completely covered it. I have not completely covered it. And the reason why is I can tell by the brim, I can tell by the brim of his hat, I probably need to move his eyes up a little bit. All right, now you're going to need to let that dry completely. If you try to move ahead without letting your paint dry, you run the risk of a mess. The paint will blur in with each other, the red and the white. All right. Here's my little Santa face, and now we must let that dry completely. Alrighty, at this point, remember we have a pencil sketch on our Santa of his face. I wanted you to be able to see a couple of different versions of a face. Here you can see Santa has two black eyes, a big red nose, and they decided to put the mouth down in his beard like he would have a mustache over his mouth. And they made that black. You don't have to do that. Here you can see Santa has two black eyes, one black nose, and a little red mouth. And the mouth is above the beard. I really like this one. Remember I said you can have a triangular or a rectangular kind of face. We have two black eyes, little red nose, and a little black mouth. Here's a tiny, tiny face on Santa. Two black eyes, red nose, black mouth. All in one little circle face. And here, I just did him recently, and I love this little guy. I did an oval face. I put two little black eyes with two little white eyebrows, a little red nose, and a little smiley face mouth. All right, you do what you feel comfortable with, but you need to kind of know what you want before you do it. You want black eyes, red nose, red mouth, black mouth. What would I like? Okay, so now I'm going to decide what I want for his eyes, nose, and mouth, and I have discovered that I need a bit more room. I need to move Santa's eyes up, which is why you do this in pencil. You can simply erase. It's handy, it works. All right. So now I'm going to work from there. All right. I want Santa to have 2 little tiny black eyes. So I'm going to take my very fine tip paintbrush and I'm not going to overload the brush because you can always make your eyes bigger, but you can't make them smaller. All right, now I'm going to try to center his eyes. Those are Santa's eyes. I'm going to clean my brush. I would like a red nose. And I'm just going to use a dot for a nose because it's easy. There's Santa's nose. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to use black for his mouth. And I'm just going to use a little dot. And remember, it's not going to be perfect. There's Santa's mouth. Now, you can leave this like this, or if you would like to further paint his beard around there, you can certainly do that. But I'm going to leave him just exactly like he is, and you must let that dry completely. Alrighty, here you can see our face has dried, and now we are going to add a ribbon for the necklace and the little sparkle pom-pom for the hat. You will measure out your ribbon about 3 feet, but just in case, put the ribbon around your neck and bring it to where you would like the Santa nut to fall. That way you can make sure that you can get it over your head. You do not want to make a necklace that no one can wear or that you can't wear. So for me, it was about 3.5 feet. Here is what you will do. Alrighty, you are going to take the very top of your walnut. All right, you see the seam is going across right in the center, and you should look at your walnut, look at Santa's face, and then put a little dollop of glue right there. Clean off what you don't need. Put them back in your stand, and then you're going to take the 2 ends of your ribbon and you're going to lay them across one another like that. And you should use something like your pencil or something to press it down. You do not want to burn your fingers. And you can take off any you don't want. Don't worry if it's not perfect, because you've got to put one more thing on there, which is going to be the pom-pom. Again, turn your Santa's face towards you. Right in the center again, put a small dollop Place your little pom-pom on top. Just hold him like there for a little bit. And then set him down to dry. All right, there is the necklace. I want to show you the ornament, and I'm going to use twine because I haven't used twine before, but I think it'll look really nice. Again, pick up your Santa, look at him straight in the face. Put your dollop of glue right in the center of his hat at the top. So you can see it. Press it down a bit. You can let that dry. You can go right away again. Look at your Santa. Right in the center. Now I'm using hot glue. You can use craft glue. And you press his little hat on. Like that. Now, just let it dry. In half an hour or so, maybe even less, your necklace will be ready to wear. Your ornament will be ready to hang. Thank you so, so much for viewing our program today. If you'd like to see others like this, please visit our website, www.worcesterlibrary.org, and follow us on Facebook. Happy holidays.